God 90 Radio on Demand. My name is Jerry Mitchell, your host for Give God 90. It is an honor to have you join me for just a little while today. For all of the new folks who are joining us, and there's more and more all the time, and we appreciate that, whether it's through YouTube or through one of the Spreaker platforms, because thanks to Spreaker, we're out on just about every podcast platform available. We certainly appreciate you joining us. For the folks who have been listening all this time, you are familiar with the Give God 90 app. Many of you have downloaded that, and I appreciate it. It is just another way to help you stay connected with what we do. We really appreciate everyone who's downloaded that, and we appreciate the people who have contributed to make that absolutely possible. So don't forget to GiveGod90.com. That is available for you as well. There's things on there. One of the things that we have on there is an affiliate with Zero Shoes out of Boulder, Colorado. And if you enter their website through our website, it benefits us as well. If you buy something, we get, I hate to say it this way, we get a little kickback from them as an appreciation for giving them a little bit of an honor. And you, as listeners to Give God 90, benefit as well. Because that way, we don't have to ask for donations. We don't have to do any of that kind of thing. We like to provide you with things where you're just not shelling out money, okay? You get something in return, whether it's something useful like shoes, something pretty like artwork. Don't forget my pictures. They can also be put on bags, on cups, on different things. So we are going that direction so that you don't feel like you're just throwing money after something, okay? You get something in return that's meaningful to you. So don't forget, all that's available and much more at the website. We certainly appreciate everyone who listens through YouTube, through any of the podcast outlets. And for the people who get just the podcast, just the audio only, we appreciate you. And what I want to do today is talk about Psalm 37, is really because what I've been doing over the last several weeks is putting out little pieces of Psalm 37 every day, hopefully as an inspiration to you. And we do that on Facebook. And then once I complete Psalm 37, I'm going to summarize it today and really take a look at it and break it down. And I don't want the folks who just get the podcast to be left out of those little, hopefully inspirational blurbs that we put out to hopefully keep you in good contact with your Creator. Remember, one of the most important things in any relationship is communication. And if you're not having that good communication with your Creator, you might not have a good relationship with your Creator. We want to make sure you have a good relationship with your Creator. Now, in Psalm 37, I want to start in verse 25 because we learned something in verse 25 that's very important to Psalm 37. And in verse 25, and I'm going to use the Holman translation today. I know that's a little odd for some folks, but he does a really good job with Psalm 37. No translation is perfect, okay? But Holman really does take his time with this, and I think he does an excellent job. Excuse me. And in verse 25, we see David writes, I have been young, but am now old. He's giving us a clue here. Psalm 37 wasn't written as a young man's perspective. It's written as from an old man's perspective. And that's important because David, throughout all of his life, throughout everything he has seen, now he can go back up to verse 1, understanding where he is at his age, and it says, don't be agitated by evildoers. David says, one thing I've learned in everything I've done, in all my life, in all of the things I've done, don't let wicked people upset you. Don't envy those who do wrong. Don't look at what evil people do. Don't look at what the wicked have and say, I want what they've got. That's not the way this whole thing is supposed to work. David says, Don't let it get under your skin when somebody who you look at them and they're not living according to the Creator's instructions, but they seem to have everything they've got. David said, don't be fooled by this. Verse 2, they wither quickly like grass and wilt like tender plants. Oh my goodness. Their stuff is extremely short-lived. Their success is short-lived. Everything that they do, everything that the wicked do, the evil people do, the people who embrace death, everything they do is short-lived. They might look like they're on top for a while, but it is extremely short-lived. He goes on, trust in the Lord and do what is good, dwell in the land and live securely. Take delight in the Almighty, and He will give you your heart's desires. Now that doesn't mean you're going to get a mansion to live in on this earth. Okay? That means what your heart should desire if you are following His instructions, okay, should be to look around you and see people enjoying life. See people enjoying the blessings that the Almighty is giving them. It doesn't mean that you're going to get a new car, or a big house, or a fishing boat. It simply means that if your heart is right, let me say that again, if your heart is right, the things that your heart will desire, He will bless you with. Let's skip down to verse 8. Refrain from anger and give up your rage. Again, he says, don't be agitated. It can only bring harm. When we seek our own vengeance, we are weak. When we seek our own vengeance, we are weak. It's not for us to decide what's right and wrong. It's for the Almighty to decide what's right and wrong. He will choose, the Almighty will choose people to work out His vengeance from time to time. We've seen that over and over and over again. He used the Philistines, right? When Israel was a young nation, He used the Philistines. When the nation of Israel messed up, it was the Philistines who took their vengeance out on the young nation of Israel and to be corrected, okay? Later on, it was the Babylonians. Later on, it was other people, the Greeks, eventually the Romans. We see that over and over and over again, but we don't seek our own vengeance. We are not to be pushing our personal agendas onto other people. Let's look at let's look at verse 10. A little while, and the wicked person will be no more. Again, reminding us, it's short-lived. It doesn't last. There's no need to grab hold for that stuff. It doesn't matter. None of the evil, wicked things that you think look so great matter. Verse 14, the wicked have drawn their swords, strung the bow. They try to bring down the afflicted and needy, to slaughter those whose way is upright. Their swords will enter their own hearts. Their bows will be broken. We have to remember that evil in this world sometimes wins the battle, but it will never win the war. Let me say that again. Yes, evil people harm good people. The evil might win the battle, but it will never win the war. Around the world today, we are witnessing things that we should not be witnessing, aren't we? We see this whole thing of racism. We see this whole thing of economic collapse. We see this whole huge picture where it looks like the world is ending. But the world's not ending yet. It will eventually, but it's not yet. As bad as you think things are right now, they will get worse. They will get worse, and they get worse because we allow it to get worse. We look around and we say, oh, we kind of wring our hands together and we say, we got to pray about this, we got to do this, we got to do that. What do you do when you get done praying about it? Do you actually get up and follow the Almighty's instructions? Is that what you're going to do? That's what you should be doing. Or do you just sit there and say, I don't know. I don't know if I can do what you're asking me to do. That just doesn't seem right. I don't think we should be living like that. I don't think we ought to be going there. I don't think we ought to be doing this or doing that. What we really should be doing when we get up off of our knees is following those instructions. He's giving you your marching orders. You can consider it a board meeting, okay? When you leave a board meeting, you get up and you go implement the actions that were designated at the board meeting, right? Same thing when you get up from prayer. You go implement the actions that the Almighty has given you the instructions to do in that time of communication. Let's jump to verse 16. The little that the righteous man has is better than the abundance of many wicked people. Oh, it is better for you to be content with the things that the Almighty needs you to have, okay, than it is for you to go acquire a bunch of stuff. What are you going to do with stuff? Now, I like toys. I'll admit, I like having nice things. I like having things that when we make a purchase, we try to make a purchase that will last and we will have for a long time. We don't buy a lot of frivolous things. I think the most frivolous thing we have ever bought probably would have to be the couple of little things that's knick-knacky type things that sit on a shelf and don't do anything. But they're pretty, and they're interesting, they're neat. We have an apple, we have, it's a red crystal apple, and it's really pretty. It's useless, but it does, have things that are neat. There's another thing we have, it's kind of a jellyfish. If you ever see on Give God 90 on Facebook when we do the live, it's usually sitting behind us. Sometimes I remember to turn the light on and it lights up. It's just one of those frivolous things that's interesting and neat and pretty. It's useless, doesn't do anything. It's not like a car. When we purchase a car, we try to get the best deal we can on the best car we can afford, just like anybody else, right? The little things that we have are better than the abundance that the wicked have. Now, we could compare a lot of people to this, can't we? But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say there are things that people have in the world that they don't need. I know people personally who have a lot of things that they haven't seen in many years. I know that because I'm a photographer. Okay, and sometimes I am called in to go photograph these things for various reasons. Sometimes it's insurance, sometimes it's other things, and they get these things out and they polish them up and we take pictures of them and then they put them away for the next 20 or 30 years. That's an abundance of stuff. If you have something you haven't seen for 25 or 30 years, that's having too much stuff. You're putting too much emphasis on stuff. You need to be putting your emphasis on people. Okay? What else can we say? David goes over and over and over this in this psalm. He really, really, really just hammers away at, look at verse 27. Turn away from evil and do what is good and dwell there forever. He said, David writes, if you will just stop doing bad things and start doing good things, just live there. Make it your lifestyle. Make it don't pretend it's a job. Make it part of who you are. Live there. Own it. Right? Last Thursday night, we did the podcast. We did the live on Facebook and on Spreaker, and I called it. I think it was "Where Do You Live?" And we were talking about the wise man and the foolish man. The wise man builds his house upon the rock. The foolish man builds his house on the sand. Where do you live? Well, if you're wise, you're going to turn away from evil and live where it's good. You're going to live doing the things that are meant to be done and meant to be meant to live according to the way you're designed to live, right? It's that simple. It's that simple. Verse 32 says, the wicked one lies in wait for the righteous and seeks to kill him. Why is that? Why do the wicked feel the need to destroy the good? Oh my, I just opened up a whole can of philosophy, didn't I? Well, David actually did. The wicked don't want to see the good succeed. They're jealous. They have a severe jealousy of your relationship with your Creator. There is a very good reason why people don't, and I say people, why there's a very good reason why atheists fail at everything they do. Because they don't include the Almighty in it. And what they do won't matter. They're done. It's over. For them, it's short-lived. Because they have no hope of the future anyway. So why do something that's going to last an eternity if you don't believe in eternity? Right? An atheist who cannot see past the next 30 seconds. You know, some of them do. Some of them plan for retirement. Some of them plan for their children. But if you can't see past that, you have absolutely zero hope of the future. Why bother at all? If your life is that miserable and that depressed, that deprived, do you realize what you're turning down by doing that? Now, the people who are going to be listening to this say, yeah, we know exactly what they're turning down, right? They're turning down an eternity in the presence of their Creator. That's something to be sad about. That's something to be concerned about. So the believers are going to look at this and they're going to say, but wouldn't it be great if they could all just see the truth, find the light, see what the glory of the Almighty can do for them? Yeah, it would. But they won't. They won't because they're stubborn. They won't because they're selfish. They want for me right now. They don't care about for our future. The big difference is I want to do what satisfies me right now. Because the future doesn't matter. The future may not be there. Where the believer, the people who put their faith in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they're going to look at it differently. They're going to say, yes, there is a future. Yes, that future is important. And yes, just like it says in verse 33 of Psalm 37, the Almighty will not leave the faithful in the power of the wicked one, or allow him to be condemned when he's finally judged. Now, he's not talking about the wicked judging. He's talking about the Almighty judging. Okay? David continues, I have seen a wicked, violent man, well-rooted like a flourishing native tree. Then I passed by and noticed he was gone. I looked around, but he couldn't be found. Again, things are short-lived. Evil is short-lived. Evil is absolutely short-lived. It cannot survive in the presence of good. The other thing we look at in Psalm 37 is verse 39. The salvation of the righteous is from the Almighty. Here's David lays it out right here. David lays it out right here. The salvation of the righteous is from the Almighty. Isn't that amazing? Now we know that the definition of a righteous person is one who lives according to the instructions from their Creator, right? Or strives to, because we're all going to mess up at some point in time. But we strive to live according to those instructions. What about the wicked people? What about the evil people? I saw an interesting comment on a Facebook post the other day from a retired pastor of a certain denomination. And what it said was, they were talking about the anarchists, okay, the people who are anti-government, anti-law, anti-society. And he said, I wonder if we could equate these with antichrists. And the pastor commented, well, I think they're, I believe the word was antinomian, meaning without the law. It's a Greek term, meaning anomia is without knowledge or without the law. Now, I know this person, and until recently I thought they were a little more godly than they are, but I realized that this person doesn't understand following God's instructions means you understand the law. It means you're going to understand things completely differently than someone who doesn't have that knowledge. It means, and now I have to be careful how I say this, they're more willing to follow their law than God's law. They follow what they want to do, not what the Almighty's telling them to do. They go their own way because they don't have the knowledge of the Almighty, the true knowledge of the Almighty. So they wander in their own lostness. That might not be a word, but it is now. Okay? They wander in their own emptiness, being lost, being confused, and wondering why nobody wants to follow them. Because they don't know where they're at. Real people understand those who live in hypocrisy. Real people look at folks. Why? Let me use this example. TV evangelists of 20 and 30 years ago were greedy. Okay, they may have started out really trying to promote the Almighty and trying to get people to obey the Bible, but what they were really doing is they were trying to fill their own pockets. Okay, they were greedy. There's no getting around that. And we see their failures. We see where they mess up. Because they beg for money. They say, you send us $5, we'll pray for you. Right? You know, send us $5 in your prayer request and we will pray for you. The illusion is the TV evangelist himself is going to do that. The reality is, the people opening the mail, oh yeah, they pray for you. Thank you, Jesus, that we can go to the bank today because somebody sent us $5. That's their prayer for you. Seen it done. Here's the thing. People who understand the Almighty understand that hypocrisy and they avoid it. Those type of TV evangelists are the false prophets that we see mentioned throughout Scripture. The pastor I just described is one of them. I've known this person for many years. And it does sadden me to watch that happen, watch the decline of faith. And that's all we can say it is. It is a decline of faith. But David says, the salvation of the righteous is from the Almighty. Their refuge in a time of distress. Do you think we're in a time of distress around the world today? Not just in the United States either. I'm talking about all around the world. We are definitely in a time of distress. Think about this. Verse 40, the Lord helps and delivers them. The Almighty himself reaches down to offer help. He delivers them from the wicked and will save them because they take refuge in him. The only thing, David says, that gets you where you think you want to go is putting all of your faith all of your faith in the Almighty himself. He says, look, the Almighty helps and delivers those people in their time of the righteous in a time of distress. He delivers them from the wicked and will save them solely because they stood firm in their faith and did everything in their power to remain faithful to him. My goodness, how much of a promise do we have in Psalm 37? Don't worry. Don't worry what the wicked people do. I'm an old man. I've seen it all. And finally, he says, the Almighty will deliver you if you're willing to remain faithful, if you're willing to do what it takes, if you're willing to stick it out. Don't be one of those folks from Matthew 24, I believe it's verse 10. Don't be one of the ones who fall away. Stay strong. If you need help finding a place to stay strong, contact me. We can plug you in, no matter where you are in the world, we can plug you into certain things, and we will help you. We will help you stay strong, stay faithful. We'll do whatever it takes because the time's getting short, folks. We can see it more every day. It's getting clearer and clearer what the Almighty is doing. And as the enemy chooses to step up the battle a little bit, we're going to see things, and it's not going to be pretty. It's just not going to be pretty. But until that time, we stay faithful. We keep plugging along. We keep doing what we do. We keep living according to the Almighty's instructions. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this has been an inspiration to you. Until next time, have a blessed week.